How many of you think that managing a rental property in Washington, D.C. is super easy? Well, for some of you it is, until it isn't. I'm Debbie with Key Renter Property Management here in Washington, D.C., and I have a guest here with me today, John Sweeney, who is going to share his experience as a do-it-yourself landlord.
Hey, Debbie.
Hey. It is a fact that D.C. is one of the premier areas in the United States to own an investment property. It is also a fact that landlord and tenant laws are very much in favor of the tenant, and some owners actually lose their homes to foreclosure because they are unable to pay their mortgage when a tenant stops paying rent. Unfortunately, about 40% of rental property owners call me when they are already in trouble.
Hey, thanks, Debbie, for giving me the chance to share my story. It's been a frustrating year, to say the least, and my goal is so people have a chance to learn from my mistakes and make better decisions moving forward. But long story short, I bought a condo in DC about 10 years ago, and it's a great condo. I love it. Lived in it for a year, and I started traveling for work. So I started renting it out myself. And back then I was using Craigslist, and it was fairly easy. I was finding people easily. I was renting it out pretty easy and covering my mortgage. No issues until, like Debbie just mentioned, until there is. So about a year ago, timing wise, I was going through the sale for my current house in Arlington, and my loyal, paid on time tenants had to move out for personal reasons. So I was in a bit of a bind where I was kind of desperate to find a new renter, and I went to Craigslist again. But unfortunately, this time around, I didn't get a ton of bites. And when you're desperate and can't afford to make mistakes, sometimes you cut corners and get a little sloppy, which I did. And I didn't do my due diligence and ended up renting to a guy that that I shouldn't have. And what happened was, I told him if he gave me 1 month's deposit, 1 month's rent, the place was his. He gave me the check. They hit my account. I gave him the keys. And the bank figured out about 3 weeks later that it was a fake account. So I contacted him, phone, text, email. I didn't hear anything back. I had a clause in our lease that said after 30 days, I have the right to kick him out. So I thought, okay, show up, let him know he was evicted. I emailed him, let him know he was evicted. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You have to go through the process. And what I've learned is the process is unbelievably frustrating, unbelievably exhausting, and very biased towards the renter. And I tried to do it myself the first time. And I learned you have to serve him, wait 30 days for this, wait another 30 days for that, go request a hearing, which is a 6-week process, get there, it's continued once, it's continued twice, and then eventually somehow, some way I lost, even though he wasn't paying rent. Then I had to repeat the whole process over, hiring lawyers the second time, and it all starts again. So I've been going through this personally for over 12 months now. He's still in there, and it's just been financially frustrating. It's broken me effectively, and now I have to sell the place. So, I'm here to say that, yeah, it's great when you don't need a property manager, but when you do, it pays for itself in spades. And, I'm just passing on the message to make better decisions than I did, and you'll have a better time of it.
So I'm not going to bore you with a 3-hour video on the landlord and tenant laws. I am going to tell you, however, that the judicial process is required for all evictions. Let me say that again. You cannot evict a tenant for any reason without going through the court process unless they leave willingly. The average eviction process takes 6 to 9 months, and in some cases, well over a year, as you've just heard. Can you cover the mortgage and pay attorney's fees while going through the eviction process? How many of you think that at the end of the lease, you can tell the tenant you're not renewing and just ask them to vacate? You might be thinking, okay, my tenant is not paying rent. However, the lease is up in 2 or 3 months and I just won't renew. I'm saying this for a third time. You can never kick a tenant out without getting a court order. Tenants have the right to stay month to month when the lease is up, and they never have to sign a new lease. Well, hopefully I've not scared you into never owning a rental property in Washington, D.C. Just don't wait until it's too late. Be proactive. Treat this like an investment and hire the professional. If your furnace stopped working, you probably wouldn't try to fix it yourself. You probably wouldn't watch a few YouTube videos and think, I got this, it's easy. Hopefully you would call the professional. So what is so special about Key Renter? We have a 14-point tenant screening process. and understand the legal nuance required to screen correctly. For example, most do-it-yourself landlords ask for things like rental references and pay stubs, but how do you verify that the rental reference is even a landlord and not just a friend or a relative? Do you have a process that allows you to verify employment? Anyone can make a fake pay stub on the internet in about 10 minutes. Do you have the ability to not only check the credit score, but also see what's making up the credit scores? I have seen 700 plus credit scores where applicants have had late rent payments reported, bankruptcies, and even evictions. Our comprehensive screening process involves verification of all of those things we just talked about, and probably things that you cannot likely test screen yourself. Our goal is to find you the right tenant, not the first tenant. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, you can contact me at 202-838-6000 or leave a comment below. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.